All right, FFA, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Hey, on today's call, we're going to talk about running for more. So, running for more to achieve more, to be more, and ultimately to get yourself to the place that you dream of being at, right? So, we're going to jump into that on today's call. You guys are going to have to bear with me on today's call, though. I woke up and my throat was swollen shut. So, I'm going to do my best not to have to pause talking here, but we're going to work through it together. Okay. So jumping into today's call, first off, hats off to you guys for just a phenomenal first half of this week. You guys have been putting up just amazing numbers from annuities, from the life side, from the health side, just all across the board, shaping up to be a phenomenal week. So shout out to you guys for pushing really hard out there. And as we jump into the second half of this week, all right, let's talk about running to achieve more. So my question for you guys on today's call is, what do you picture your life looking like in a year from now, in 2 years from now, in 5 years, all right, in 10 years, in 15, in 20? Think about that. All right, guys, the reason I want to talk to you about that on today's call is because that is what's going to drive your success as an agent. All right. It's those long-term goals. It's where you see yourself in 2 years from now, not where you see yourself right now. So don't be so short-sighted in this industry. All right. How can you use this industry to get the life that you've always wanted to have? All right. Whether that's financially, whether that's spiritually, think about it. What does that life look like for you? If you're brave enough, post it in the agency chat for me. Where do you picture yourself being in 12 months, 24, 5 years, right? Think about that. It's crazy that it is already the end of February in 2025. All right. FFA kicked off in the middle of 2021. It's crazy to think about how many years have gone by already, right? It feels like it was just yesterday. But one of the key things that has led this agency to have so much success is that it's the long-term vision, right? It's not about just waking up and seeing what happens tomorrow. It's about what's the 10-year game plan, the 15-year, right? The 20-year game plan. And that's what I want you to narrow down, all right, throughout today's call. So as we jump into this today, all right, let's kick it off with the verse of the day here. Okay, 1 Corinthians 9:24. It says, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it." Okay, now in this verse, right, Paul was talking about running to have eternal life, right, with Jesus. But I always like taking a verse and then seeing how else it could apply, right? Because I believe that all of the verses, all the advice in the book was laid out there for us so that we would be able to achieve that number one goal, right, of fulfilling his will in our life. But also number two, that we might actually see the prosperity in life that he actually had set up for us in the beginning. And if we don't look at these verses, we don't apply them, we might be trying to live our life on our own control and not hit that. So the first thing I want you guys to take away from today's call is that multiple times throughout this book, all right, I like to think of it as like a key to having just a fulfilled and good life. And multiple times throughout this book, you'll see scriptures that talk just like this verse where it says, "Run that you may obtain it." Right? Notice Paul didn't say walk. Paul didn't say sit there and wait for it to come to you. He said run so that you could actually obtain it. So obviously there's something that God put out there, but for you to get it, you've got to run to it. It's not just going to magically fall into your lap, right? You got to work for it. And the same could be said, right? Same could be true for this industry in your career as an agent. You have to run that you can actually obtain it, right, guys? The success that this industry can bring is there for you. It's there for you to grab hold of it, for you to take it, to run to it. But it's not just going to magically fall from the sky and be put in your lap. All right. And I think that that's just a common denominator throughout that book, right? Throughout the Bible, that there's a goal, right? And to get it, You have to put the work in. God will direct your steps to it. He will make the doors open up for you, but only if you walk to the door first, right? If you run through that door first. So think about that verse. Do you not know that in a race, all runners run, but only one receives it? So run that you may obtain it. When I read that back, I think like he's telling us, if we're going to do something, do it that you can actually win it, right? Don't just get started and fiddle around with it, right? So take that verse as we jump into today's call. My question for you guys is, what do you want out of your life, right? What do you want out of it? Really think about that, right? Think about where you're at right now and what do you want out of every day that you wake up? Every day that you wake up and you're given the gift of blood pumping through your veins, right? And air in your lungs. What do you want out of your life? That's a hard question to answer, but if you could answer it, drop it in the comments or drop it in the agency chat. What do you want out of your life? Okay, because this is the foundation of being a successful agent. This is the foundation of being successful in anything, all right, in your life, whether it's your personal life, your work life, whatever it is. If you don't know what you want out of it, you're going to run around in a circle and stay in the same spot forever. Okay, so list it out. What do you want out of your life? Okay, when we jump into this, all right, and I give you guys some tips on running for more this year, my question for you is, are you equipped? Right? It's one thing to identify what you want to run for. You want to run towards more, right? More than you're achieving right now, not being content. But are you equipped to actually do that? All right, guys, one of the ways that people stay stuck in the same financial spot forever and ever and ever and ever is they don't realize that they're already equipped for prosperity. You're already equipped to be financially free, right? You've got the opportunity sitting right in front of you. You've got the systems, you've got everything that you need as an agent to be successful is already there. You're equipped for it, right? Not only are you equipped for it, but God has given you the opportunity to actually run for it, right? He's never going to task you with something if he hasn't already given you the ability, a capability to achieve it. So if you have that goal, right? One of the best quotes I've ever heard was from, I think it was Denzel Washington that said it. He said, if you have a want, right, inside of you, then that's God's way of saying that it's already yours. Now, I probably didn't say that exactly like he said it, but that's something along those lines, right? So following today's call, you got to realize you're equipped to do more, to be more, to achieve more. And we're going to jump into why that's actually important for you here in just a minute. But that's my question. Don't question whether or not you're equipped to run for more. All right, here's a picture for you guys back in August of 2015. Okay, at least you didn't know I was going to share this picture, right? But August 12th of 2015. Okay, I had got back from a second deployment, and there Alicia is with our littlest Landon. He's crazy thing. He's 10 years old right now, but there he is as, I think it was like 1.5, right, in that picture. But I'm sharing this picture with you guys because back in 2015, right, you can see the smile on our faces, right? We were just as happy back then as we are now. All right. And the reason being is because we knew that we were called for more even back then, right, guys? Back then, we didn't have money, right? I think I made like $1,200 a month in the Marines. This is like nothing, right? It's just enough to maybe put some food on the table, right? But that didn't matter back then, right? Because what we were running for was more. We knew that down the road, we would find a way, all right, to succeed. We'd find a way to buy our first house. We'd find a way to pay for daycare. We'd find a way to put food on the table because we knew that God would provide every single need. All right, but we also knew that we had to actually work for it, right? Looking back then to where our family is right now, I could give you guys so many examples of how God has came through made us be prosperous, right? Made us become financially free, made us become healthier, made us become happier, made us become more fulfilled. But it was all because we were running towards something more. We were running towards what we were called to do. All right. And so to run for more in this job, you guys got to really think about, what are you being called to do right now? Right. I think back to these times where, as young parents, it was hard for us to do things, right? It's hard for us to pay for things, hard for us to make this car payment or this or that, or the credit card bill, right? All those things, I think back to that. But now I realize we went through all of that so that we could then turn around and teach you guys how to make it through that stuff, right? How to get out of debt, how to become financially free through this industry, all of those things that we've experienced that God led us through and made us become successful through. He did it so that we could then give back to other people to do it too. So no matter where you're sitting at right now, I want you guys to realize that the difference between where you're at right now and the difference of where you're going is just, it lies in how hard you're willing to run for it, right? How hard are you willing to run for it? You serve a God that doesn't have a cap, right? There's no cap on what he's willing to do for you. But why do we continue to cap ourselves? Why do we continue to do just enough to get by versus doing just enough to give back to other people and to thrive in the same light, right? So how do we run for more? All right. I need you guys to pick which one of these you are. All right. And I want you to be honest with yourself. I want you to put which one of these you are in the agency chat. All right. And you got to participate. If you don't participate, I'm going to call you out in the WhatsApp chat. But I know, hey, you can do it after the call too. I know some of this YouTube will kick you off if you guys are watching, if you switch the screen. But put in the comments for me, which one of these are you? Okay, a victor versus a victim. What's the difference? All right, guys, a victor takes ownership, accountability, and responsibility. A victim puts blame on everybody and everything else, excuses, right, and denial. And if you're looking at your year so far, we're coming up on the end of the second month of the year. If you are hitting the targets you want to be, chances are you've had a victor mentality with it, right? You've taken ownership, accountability, responsibility to run to a new height. But if you're not, all right, chances are every day you wake up, you're blaming something, right? The weather's bad. It's snowing. All right, I got the sniffles, whatever it is, right? Excuses, right? My mom's brother's, cousins, uncles, aunts, best friend, that lives 20 hours away from me, had this happen. I can't work this week. It's a victim mentality. All right. Denial, thinking you're not capable or worthy of actually achieving more for yourself and for your family. Guys, a victim mentality comes from Satan himself, right? Think about it. If you are equipped to do unlimited things, unlimited potential through the God that we serve, what's the best way that the devil could steal that joy that he has intended for you? It's to make you be a victim, right? It's to give you the sickness. It's to give you the excuses. But the minute you stop being a victim and you start acting like a victor, you're going to start actually running for more. You're going to start achieving more. You're going to take your income from $5,000, $10,000 a month to $15,000, $20,000, $50,000 a month, like that, once you start changing your attitude. And so many of you are in a victor type setup for this year. But let's be honest, there's some of us that are playing the victim role, right? If I go to that call to close thread and I see 50 pages of excuses as to why you didn't hit the numbers you set for yourself, I don't even read it. I just say they're being a victim this week, right? They got to change it. So guys, victors and victims both have significant things happen in their life that could derail them from achieving success. The difference is the victor doesn't let it do it, but the victim just soaks it up, right? They look for a reason to fail versus looking for a reason to actually win and do good. So which one of these are you? And more importantly, which one of these are you going to be moving forward? Okay. There's been times in my life that I've acted like a victim, and then I had to slap myself upside the head and change my attitude, right? So go into the rest of this week being a victor and not a victim. Okay. Here's my question for you guys. Simple tips for you to run for more, to achieve more this week. Let's not be happy with $2,000 of production in a week, right? Let's run for 5, 6, 7, 8,000, guys. If you're not hitting 5, you're not trying. All right. I'm just going to call it out there. If you're not hitting 5K a week, you're not trying. All right. So my question for you is, are you hungry? Guys, when a lion is hungry, they're going to eat. All right. It doesn't matter if they have to go a mile, 2 miles, 10 miles to find the food. If they're hungry, they're going to eat. If you're hungry, you're going to find a way to do more, to be more, and to achieve more. But if you're not hungry, you'll do just enough to get by. Okay. And I don't want you to do just enough to get by. I want you to do just enough that you can be financially free, but then you can turn around and give back to somebody that actually needs your help. Right. I heard this on a podcast the other day. I don't remember who said it, right? But they talked about how why does God let bad things happen to good people? And one of the examples they gave was, why would God, because this was coming from somebody who didn't believe in God, right? He was asking a preacher, and he said, why would God allow kids, right? Let's just say kids. Why would God allow kids in, poverty-stricken countries to go hungry? Why would he allow them to have no water? And the guy said, if I ever meet God, I'm going to ask him that question. Why would you have allowed that to happen? And the preacher turned around and he said, God's probably going to look at you and say, hey, why didn't you use the tools I gave you so that you could actually provide them food and water? Right. And that really hit me different. It was a calling to use the abilities that God's given us to benefit other people. So if you're not hungry, okay, not only are you not feeding yourself, but you're not feeding the people that actually need your help, because they are physically or they just cannot do it, right? They need you. They need people like you to rise up to a new level, to make money, all right, to be able to help them through this life. And I believe that, right? One day we're going to meet our maker and he's going to say, I gave you so much potential that I didn't give other people, right? I put you in the perfect spot, the perfect country, the perfect company, the perfect opportunity. I gave you the health for it, and you didn't use any of it, right? And so are you hungry? That would be a big question for you. And are you going to use the ability and the tools that he gave you to thrive? I heard another podcast, and it was about a person talking bad about wealthy Christians, right? This person was probably like middle class or whatever, right? But they were talking about how some of these preachers out there that are they're wildly successful, right? Super famous. And they were talking about how they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be wealthy. They shouldn't be this. They shouldn't be that. And then they came back and said, when the hurricane hit Haiti, was it the poor that were donating tens of millions of dollars to help those people, or was it the wealthy? And the person got kind of stunned and they sat back, right? And they looked, well, it was the wealthy people that did that. And he said, right. So it's your job as a Christian to work hard enough that you could be wealthy, that you could give back to people that can't get it for themselves, right? So are you hungry enough to do more, guys? I believe that it's not just your desire to do more. It's actually your need. It's your calling to do more. Every day that you wake up and you don't apply yourself, you're failing, right? You're failing what he called you to do. So are you hungry? And then third, are you convicted in it? Right? I made up my own definition. Excuse me. I made up my own definition of conviction, because if you Google conviction, it says to be convicted of a crime and thrown in jail. That's not the kind of convicted that I'm talking about. I'm talking about, are you convicted in what you're doing, right? And so I just put 3 words: to be aware, dedicated, and proven. What do I mean by those? Are you aware of your conviction in your day-to-day job? Are you dedicated to it? Dedicated meaning you're locked in, right? Like this is linear focus. This is what you're running to achieve. What number are you running to achieve this week? And are you proven? Have you proven time and time again that you're going to hit the targets that you set for yourself and then raise the bar the next week? If you can be convicted in that, you're never going to fail as an agent. But if you're not convicted, if you're not dedicated, and you're just kind of out there, you're going to struggle forever, not just in this job, but in any job that you ever pick up, right? So are you convicted in what you're doing? All right. And lastly, are you called? Right, guys, if you're on this call right now or you're watching this, you're called to do more than you're doing right now, right? For a lot of different reasons. For yourself, for others, for your family, for people that are going to need your help, right? For your community, you're called to do more. One thing that I think holds people back so much is that they don't realize that they are here to be able to do more, be more, and achieve more, to help more. Not to just gain everything and whatever, right? But to actually be able to give back to people, to give back to other people. So what are you called to do? If you're listening to this call, you're being called to rise up and do more than you're currently doing, right? You're being called to achieve a level that you didn't think was possible. And you're being called, all right, to help other people by doing that, right? One of the biggest criticisms we get on these calls is people watch it and they think, well, why would you talk about people making more money or agents selling more to get paid more or, financial freedom, all this stuff, right? That's one of the biggest criticisms that we get when I talk about stuff like this on the call. And my answer to that is people are called to have peace in this life. He wants you to have peace in this life, and you can't have it when you let all of these worldly things dictate your happiness. So if you can take control of those, if you can take control of your money, your finances, being financially free, if you can make more money than you've ever thought possible so that you could give back to other people, you will actually have achieved a point in your life where you can not allow worldly things to dictate how happy you are every single day. And if you can get to that point, I know what it'll do for you and for your spiritual life too. And that's what I'm trying to help you guys reach. So are you called to do more? Guys, if you're not finishing the week every single week, just totally exhausted, right? From all the hard work that you put in, you're not doing enough. All right. If you finish today and you look back on your day and think, wow, that was a busy day. I did a lot of stuff today. You're doing what you need to do. The human body was designed to push its limits, but we just as a society shrink that down. So we're only doing like 10% of our potential every single day. What if you could unlock just 40% more than what you're doing right now? What would that look like for you, for your family, and for your future? All right. So that would be my question for you guys. Who's ready to run for more? And let's put our heads down and run to achieve it. So I appreciate you guys for jumping on this call today. Let's go finish the second half of this week on a high note, and we will be back here on Friday.